ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथ बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्म उपनिषदम् ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु। तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओमित्येतदक्षरमुद्गीतमुपासीत ओमिति ह्युद्गायते तस्योपव्याख्यानम् न विलक्षणत्वादस्य तथात्वं च शब्दात् जगत न चेतन प्रकृतिकम। Jagat or the universe cannot chetanam or consciousness Brahman as a prakriti, as a material cause. Na. Vilakshanatvad asya acetanasya jagataha Brahma vilakshanatvad chetanad vilakshanatvad, because this jagat is acetanam, is unconscious, insentient, is dissimilar in nature from Brahman, which is consciousness. Tathatvam cha shabdat, and that this jagat is acetanam, that jagat is insentient, and therefore vilakshanam, dissimilar in nature from Brahman. Tathatvam tva shabdat, even from the shabda, from the words of the Shruti also, it is evident that this universe is acetanam. So first of all, the argument was made as to how tarka or reasoning is closer to anubhava experience than shabda is. Because shabda gives paroksha jnanam, indirect knowledge. It can result into brahma jnanam, the knowledge of Brahman, or Brahman Anubhav Avasanam, result into realization or experience of Brahman only by Lakshana Vritti, not by Vachyartha. Whereas Tarka is based on Pratyaksha, such as Dhuma, based on something which is perceptible, and it gives you the knowledge of what is not perceptible. In that sense, it is closer to experience. Therefore, it is a stronger pramanam. Therefore, Tarka is in a position to even challenge what the Shruti says, and if Shruti does not conform to Tarka or reasoning, then we have to interpret the Shruti in a different way. Therefore, the Purva Pakshi said, "Na vilakshanatvat asya iti yaduktam chetanam brahma jagatah karanam prakriti iti." That a Vedantin you said in the Samanvaya Adhyaya in Janmadhyasya that jagatah karanam, Brahma, the consciousness, is the material cause of the jagat or the creation. Tanna upapadyate, it is not in keeping with the reasoning. Kasmat, why? Vilakshanatvat asya vikarasya prakrutyaha. Asya vikarasya prakrutyaha vilakshanatvat. Because the vikara, the modification called jagat, is quite dissimilar to what you claim as prakriti, material cause, namely Brahman. Idam hi brahma karyatvena abhipreyamanam jagat. So what you consider as the brahma karyatvena, as the effect of Brahman, this jagat which is thought by you to be the effect or product of Brahman, Brahma vilakshanam, it is quite dissimilar in nature from Brahman. Achetanam ashuddham cha drishyate. So vilakshanatvam, this similarity in nature is pointed out. How Jagat and Brahma are dissimilar in nature. So two things are said here about Jagat. Achetanam ashuddham cha drishyate. Jagat is seen to be achetanam, as unconscious, insentient, ashuddham, impure also. Brahma cha jagat vilakshanam chetanam shuddham cha shruyate. Drishyate and shruyate. On the other hand, Brahman is expounded by the Shruti as chetanam, consciousness, as well as pure or holy. Nacha vilakshanatve prakriti vikara bhavo drishtaha. We do not find in our experience that two entities which are dissimilar in nature can be related as the effect and the material cause. We do not find that. Nahi rochakadeo vikaraha mrut prakritikaha bhavanti. For example, the vikara, the modification, such as a gold necklace, we do not see that as being born of clay or earth. Sharavadeva suna prakritikaha, nor we find earthen pots or plates as made from gold. Mrudaeva tu mrudanvitaha vikaraha prakriyante. On the other hand, the modifications of the earth are made from the earth. Suvarnecha suvarnanvitaha. And we find that the golden things are made from gold and not from earth. Earthen pots are made from earth, not from gold. Tatha idam api jagat achetanam. This jagat also is achetanam. Sukha dukkha mohanvitam sat. And further characterized by sukha dukkha moha, sattva, rajas and tamas. Achetanasyeva sukha dukkha mohatmakasya karanasya karyam bhavitum arhati. Since Jagat is achetanam and ashuddham, can only be the effect of a material cause which itself is achetanam and ashuddham. So Achetanam, Ashuddham is what? Sukha Dukkha Mohatmakam. So cause also must have Sukha Dukkha Moha as a potential, Sattva as Tamas as a potential. No Vilakshanasya Brahmana. Brahman is beyond the three gunas. It doesn't have Sattva Rajas Tamas, Sukha Dukkha Moha. Nor is it insentient. Brahma Vilakshana. How do you say that Brahman is not unconscious? Why do you say Brahman is not impure? Brahma Vilakshanatvam cha asya jagataha. Or how Jagat is quite contrary or dissimilar in nature from Brahman. Ashuddhi Achetanatva Darshanat Avagantavyam. Well, that Brahman is Shuddham and Chetanam. That Brahman is consciousness and pure or holy is accepted from the Shruti. Whereas Jagat is experienced to be Ashuddhi Achetanatva Darshanat. We find in the universe Ashuddhi impurity, Achetanatvam insentience in the universe. Ashuddham hi Jagat Sukha Dukkha Mohatmakataya Priti Paritapa Vishadadi Hetutvad Swarg Narakadi Uchchavacha Prapanchatvacha. So we find that how the entities in this universe, sentient or insentient, how a given thing can cause priti, happiness, paritapa, unhappiness, moha, vishada, sadness or delusion to somebody. To somebody it can cause happiness, same entity to somebody can cause unhappiness, to yet another one cause sadness or delusion. Swarga Narakadi Uchchavacha Prapanchatvacha. And also the Jagat is possessed of the Swarga Naraka, higher and lower realms. So that is also impure, because the Naraka etc. are also there. That is impurity. Achetanam cha idam jagat chetanam prati karyakarana bhavena upakarana bhavopagamat. So Ashuddhi is something that we see. Sukha Dukkha Mohatmakatvat is something that is seen. Insentiency, how do you determine? How do you determine the insentiency of the universe? Because the rule is that what is insentient always serves the purpose of a sentient or a conscious being. What is inert? What is insentient? That which serves the purpose of a conscious being. So also, Achetanam cha idam jagat, this universe which is unconscious. Chetanam prati karyakarana bhavena upakarana bhava upagamat. See, the universe has transformed itself in the form of karyakarana. The universe has transformed itself as the body, the sense organs, and the objects of the world. For what? Chetanam prati, so upakarana bhava. For serving the purpose of a conscious being, the Jagat has transformed itself as a body, sense organs, the objects of enjoyment. See, the Jagat is thus serving the purpose of a conscious being. So what is conscious, what is unconscious is that which serves the purpose of the conscious. Nahi samye sati upakarya upakaraka bhavo bhavati. It is not that two things which are similar in nature can be related as upakarya upakaraka. Two similar things do not serve the purpose of each other, that one is helping, other is helped. That doesn't happen between two similar things. Nahi pradipaha nahi pradipo parasparasya upakurutaha. Not that one lamp serves the purpose of other lamp and vice versa. We do not find that. Then an objection is raised. It says, wait. Nanu chetanapi karyakaranam swami bhrutyanyayana bhoktu upakarishyati. But how about the relation between the servant and the master. We find servant also is a conscious being. The master also is a conscious being. And the conscious being, that is servant, serves the purpose of master, who is another conscious being. So why do you say that the conscious being cannot serve the purpose of the conscious being? न स्वामी भृत्योपि अचेतनांशस्यैव चेतनं प्रति उपकारकत्वात्. Because what we call servant also consists of these two aspects, chetana and achetana. Servant also is no doubt has Purusha, the consciousness as the Atma, but he also has a body, mind, sense complex which is achetana or unconscious. And so that unconscious aspect or part is what serves the purpose of the master, who is a conscious being. यो हि एकस्य चेतनस्य परिग्रहः बुद्ध्यादि अचेतन भागः. So, even though the servant is a conscious being, but he possesses this achetana amsha. Buddhyadi achetana bhagah. The unconscious aspect of the servant, which is buddhi, etc. So, saiva anyasya chetanasya upakaroti. It is the unconscious aspect of the servant that serves the purpose of the conscious master. Natu swayameva chetana chetanantarasya upakaroti apakaroti va. Not the Purusha who is in the servant serves the purpose of Purusha who is in the master. It is the unconscious or insentient aspect of the servant that serves the purpose of the conscious being that the master is. But then why do you say that? Kim chetanasya sakshadeva chetanam. So kim chetanasya sakshadeva chetanantaram prati upakarakattvam kim va upakaraka karyakarana adhishtatruttvena itil. So not even being the adhisthata of the karyakarana, it says nirtishayaha hi akartaraha chetanaha iti sankhyaha manyante. So chetanaha akartaraha, chetanaha the conscious being, the Purusha, they are the akartaraha, non-doer. Niratishayaha, there is no difference between them. Not that one Purusha is some way superior to the one or inferior to the one. All the Purushas are claimed by Sankhyas to be similar in nature. And therefore, Purusha cannot serve the purpose of another Purusha. Therefore, that which serves the purpose of the other Purusha is the insentient being. Tasmat achetanam kaya karanam. Therefore, this karya karana, the body, sense, mind complex, is achetanam, is unconscious. So, Nyayanirana said that as far as the body, sense organs are concerned, there can be a question as to whether sentient or insentient. Because they look sentient, therefore a question can arise. But काष्ठलोष्टादीनां चेतनत्वे न च किंचित प्रमाणमस्ति. But there is no evidence to say that the kaष्ठलोष्टा, that the wood and the clod of earth, that they are conscious or sentient. There is no pramanam, no means of knowledge reveals that. Meaning that such things as wood and the clod of earth, that they are insentient or unconscious, is a well established fact. Prasiddhaschayam chetana chetana pravibhago loke. And people also are very familiar that this is insentient, this is insentient, this vibhaga, this division is something very well known to the people, very well accepted by the people. Tasmad Brahma vilakshanatvat na idam jagat tat prakritikam. Therefore, Brahma vilakshanatvat, this jagat is quite dissimilar in nature. It is unconscious, it is impure, and therefore it cannot have Brahman as its material cause. So Purva Paksha said. Now, look at Ratnaprabha. Shruta Chetana Prakritikatva Balena Jagat Chetanam Evat Jagat Chetanam Evati Ekadeshi Matam Uthapayati. Ekadeshi Matam Shruta Chetana Prakritikatva Balena Chetana Prakriti, that Brahman is Prakritischa, that the sutra came. Brahman is Prakriti. It is the material cause of the universe. That is what the Shruti says. Based on that now, Ekadeshi. Who is Ekadeshi? A Vedantin who agrees with this view that Brahma is Jagat Karanam, but in a different way. So Ekadeshi is a pseudo Vedantin, they translate. And he does accept that Brahma is Jagat Karanam. However, not in the way that we say, in a different way he says. So Jagat Chetanam, therefore, Bale Tad Balena, Jagat Chetanam Evayati Ekadeshi Matam. So this fellow says, because Shruti says that Brahman is Jagat Karanam, material cause of the universe, and we know of course that Brahman is consciousness, and Shruti says that consciousness is the material cause of the universe. Therefore, we will say that Jagat is conscious. So, Shruta Chetana Prakritikatva Balena. This is called Arthapatti. On the strength of, or on the basis of, the Shruti statement that Brahman, the consciousness, is Jagat Karanam, and you say that two dissimilar things cannot be related as material cause and effect. So, accepting your position that two dissimilar entities cannot be related as material cause and effect, we say that Brahman and Jagat are of the same nature, because Shruti says that they are related to each other as material cause and effect. Therefore, we say Jagat is Chetanam, he says. So, thus, he does want to establish Brahma as Jagat Karanam, but in his own way, by accepting Jagat as Chetanam, because so Anyatha Anupatti, this is called Arthapatti, Shrutarthapatti, the Arthapatti based on Shruti. It could not be otherwise. Had Jagat not been Chetanam or conscious or a sentient entity, Brahman could not have been the material cause. Since Brahman is material cause, therefore Jagat also must be a sentient entity. So that Paksha, the Ekadeshi Paksha, is now taken for discussion. Yopiti. So Bhashyakara says, Yopi kaschide achakshite Shrutva Jagataha Chetana Prakritikatam Tadbalenaiva Samastam Jagata Chetanam Avagamishyami. Yobi kaschida, somebody. So Nyayendra now says the same thing. Shrutarthapatya Chetanatvam Jagataha Avagatam. By Arthapatti we say that Jagat is Chetanam. Iti Sutra Ekadesha Vyavartyam Ashankam Darshayati. So even if you accept Jagat as Chetanam, then also it will only refute one aspect of the opposition. Because Sankhya says that Jagat is Achetanam as well as Ashuddham. So even if you accept the whole Jagat as Chetanam, still the Sankhya's position that dissimilarity is still there, because Brahman is Shuddham and Jagat is Ashuddham, that dissimile doesn't go. So there were only one Shanka can be answered this way. Sutra Ekadesh Vyavartyam Ashankam Darshayati. Sutra is based on two Ashanka. Jagat Achetanam and Ashuddham. Of that, Achetanatva part is being taken care answered by this Ekadeshi. So yopi kaschita, someone may come along and say this. Achakshita, someone may come and say this. Shrutva jagataha chetana prakritikatam. That Jagat has its prakriti, the material cause, in chetanam, in consciousness. So, listening to this or hearing this, that this is what the Shruti says. Tad bhalenaiva, on the basis of that, there is arthapatti. Shruti could not have said this unless the Jagat also was a sentient conscious entity. Samastam Jagat chetanam avagamishyami. Also the entire creation is chetanam. Now Sankhya also accept chetana, achetana vibhaga. Purusha is chetana and prakriti is achetana. This person says that Purusha and prakriti, everything is chetanam. This is what, so agamishyami, this is what I will accept. So this is what I will show. I will show that the whole Jagat is chetanam. जगतः चेतन प्रकृतिगत्व श्रुति बलेन चेतनत्वगतिः इति उक्तं व्यनक्ति. This is now clarified or explained by the Ekadeshi. प्रकृति इति प्रकृतिरूपस्य विकारे अन्वयदर्शनात्. प्रकृतिरूपस्य विकारे अन्वयदर्शनात्. Because we find Prakriti means material cause, Vikara means the modification effect. We find that the qualities of material cause inhere in the effect. Like the qualities of the gold are found to inhere in the ornaments, the quality of earth are found to be inhering in the pots and pans. Similarly also, since Shruti says that Brahman is the material cause, therefore the consciousness which is the nature of Brahman must inhere in the Jagat also. Therefore, Jagat is also conscious or sentient. Then we say, Anupalamba parahruta shrutarthapatti iti amanam. He says, your arthapatti says that, but we don't find the whole universe as conscious. Anupalamba parahruta shrutarthapatti. Anupalamba means non-perception of consciousness. We do not find consciousness in wood and stuff like that. We already said that, and a clod of earth, a piece of wood, etc., do not display sentiency. So that is our experience. How can you claim that everything is sentient? How can you claim? Just on the base, even though Shruti says, how can you claim when that thing contradicts whatever practical experience is? So he explains, or similarly Ratna Prabha said, Ghatadehe chetanatvam anupalabdhi badhitamedi. So Ekadeshi, you are claiming that the whole universe is chetanam, is sentient, but in Ghatadehi, in pot, etc., we do not find sentiency. Therefore, your claim is contradicted by non-perception of consciousness in all these inert entities. So, to that he replies, Avibhavanam tu chetanasya parinama visheshat bhavishyati. Chetanasya avibhavanam, non-perception of consciousness. That in a pot, there is so anupalabdhi means non-perception. That in chairs and tables and pots and rocks, that you do not experience consciousness or consciousness is not manifest is not because consciousness is not there, but because of parinama visheshad. Consciousness alone has become the whole universe, but consciousness, different parinama, different kinds of modifications. There are some kind of modification of consciousness where the sentience is evident. There are other kinds of modifications where sentience is not evident. In our language, you can say that wherever subtle body is there, that is where the consciousness is evident. Where subtle body is not, the consciousness is not evident. It is there. So, where consciousness has resulted into subtle body, there the sentience is evident. Where the consciousness has not resulted into subtle body, there it is not evident. So therefore, non-perception is not because of absence of consciousness, it is because of the particular kind of modification. So parinama visheshat, on account of particular kind of modifications, this sentiency is not evident even though it is there. Says Ratnaprabha, antahkarana anya parinamatvat satopi chaitanyasya anupalabdhi ityartha. Antahkarana anya parinamatvat. So, wherever parinama or modification is different from antahkarana, different from subtle body, there the consciousness is not evident. Satopi chaitanasya. It's a matter of evidence and not matter of existence. For example, the scientists claim that at some point in time, because of the combination of matter in that so-called primordial soup, that consciousness was created, consciousness was born. We would say that consciousness is not born. Consciousness only became manifest when an appropriate medium of manifestation evolved. Like electricity is very much there, but not manifest. When you switch on the light, then the electricity which is already there becomes manifest as light. So it is just because you do not see electricity does not mean that it is not there. So similarly, where the mind is not there, then the consciousness is not evident. Antahkarana anya parinamatvat. So wherever parinama, the modification is different from the mind, then satopi chaitanyasya anupalabdhi. Chaitanya which is there very much is not evident. Antahkaranat anyasya vritti uparagadashameva chaitanya abhivakti na anyada iti bhavaha. Where something is different from mind, then only when it becomes the object of the mind. Antahkarana vritti uparagat. Only when something such as a pot has uparaga sambandha. When something becomes connected to or associated with the vritti or the thought, then only it becomes evident. Like a pot also becomes evident only when it gets connected with the mind, as ghatakara vritti. So antahkaranat anyasya vritti uparaga dashayam eva. Whatever is different from mind, such as a pot, only when that becomes connected with vritti or thought, then only chaitanya abhivakti anyadayati, then only the consciousness becomes evident, not otherwise. Vritti abhave chaitanya anavyaktau drishtantah. When vritti is not there, how the chaitanya is not manifest? The drishtanta is given yathayati. Yatha spashta chaitanyanaamapi atmanam swapamurshadi avasthasu chaitanyam na vibhavyate evam काष्ठदोष्टादीनामपि चैतन्यं न vibhavayishyate. So look, this Purusha person is conscious being, but even consciousness of Purusha is not evident if that consciousness is not connected with the vritti of the mind. Spashta Chaitanyana api Atmanam. So Sankhya also accept that Atma, the Purushas are consciousness in nature. Swapa Murshadi Avasthasu, in the states such as sleep, as unconsciousness. Chaitanyam na vibhavyate, the consciousness of the Purusha also does not shine, is not evident in states such as the sleep or the unconsciousness, because that time the mind has gone to sleep. Therefore, the consciousness does not have connection with the mind, therefore consciousness is not evident. Evam kashthaloshtadinapi, similarly, kastha the wood, lost the cloud of earth have no connection with the mind, therefore that Chaitanya is not manifest. Then says Ratnavara, Atmanatmano Chetanatve. So this Ekadeshi says Atma is Chetana, Anatma also is Chetana. Atmanatmano Chetanatve Swaswami Bhava Kutaha. But the Purupakshi says, we just said that two equal things are not related as Upakari Upakaraka, as serving and being served. Two equal entities cannot be. Two equally wealthy persons, they are not servants of each other because they are equal. So one doesn't help other, is not helped by the other. Similarly, if according to you, Purusha also is conscious being Atma, Anatma also is consciousness, then how can they be related as the Upakari Upakaraka? Here we find that Anatma serves the purpose of Atma. His body, mind, sense complex serves the purpose of the conscious being. How can that relationship be there? Etasmad iti Bhashyakara says, Etasmadeva cha avibhavita vibhavita अविभावितत्व कृतात् विशेषात् रूपादिभावाभावाभ्यां च कार्यकरणानाम् आत्मनां च चेतनत्व अविशेषेपि गुणप्रधानभावः न विरोत्स्यते. एतस्मादेव च विभावित अभावितत्व कृताद् विशेषात्. On account of this vishesha, this difference which is brought about by the manifestation and non-manifestation of consciousness. So what you call inert is that where the consciousness is not manifest. What you call conscious is where consciousness manifests. So this division is not because of division in consciousness, because of the presence or absence of the mind. So therefore, all those entities where the consciousness is not manifest because of the absence of mind, so vibhavita, abhavita krutat, visheshat, this difference brought about by the manifestation and non-manifestation of consciousness. Rupadi bhava abhavabhyam cha, that this what you call insentient possesses rupa, form, etc. The conscious entity, Purusha, does not possess a form, etc. Karyakaranaatmada karyakarananam atmanam cha chetanatva avisheshepi. So karyakarana or karyakarana, the body, sense organs and the Atma, even though both of them are equally conscious, even then in Atma the consciousness is manifest, in Karyakarana it is not manifest. Guna pradhana bhavo na virochate. Therefore, where the consciousness is manifest is pradhanam, is the important one, superior one. Where the consciousness is not manifest is gaunam, is inferior. So superior inferior relationship is because of the manifestation and non-manifestation of consciousness, not because of the presence or absence of consciousness, because of manifestation and non-manifestation of consciousness. Chetana chetana bheda kathamityaha. So samyepi sambhavati upakarya samyepi pratisika swarupa visheshat sheshitve drishtantah. Even though things are equal, pratisvika swarupa visheshat, even though the same thing gets modified in different ways, but because the pratisvika individual nature is different, therefore there can be the Shesha Sheshi Bhava, Anga Angi Bhava, or Pradhana Gauna Bhava. So that the Sheshitva means what? That which serves the purpose. Shesha and Sheshi. Shesha is that which serves the purpose. Sheshi is of which the purpose is served. So still that can be there, even though the two things are equally the modifications. So Yathacha Bhashyakara says, Yathacha Parthivatva Avisheshepi Mamsa Supaudhanadinam Pratyatmavartinaha. It's not we but va. Pratyatmavartinaha Visheshat Paraspara Upakaritvam Bhavate न भवत्येव न एवं इहापि भविष्यति. यथा च पार्थिवत्व अविशेषेपि. Even though all of these are the modifications of earth, what are they? Mamsa, supa, odanadina, the meat, or supa means the dal or soup actually. Supa means supa or dal, etc. And odana means rice. So, pratyatma vartina visheshat. See, if you look at Nyaya, pratyatma vartina visheshat tat asadharana dharmavashat. Each one has its own unique nature. Meat has its own unique nature. Soup has its own unique nature. Rice has its own unique nature. So even though all of them are modifications of earth in one way or the other, even though meat is a remote modification, first modification of course is rice, etc. Then you make soup out of that, and then that is consumed, then it becomes meat, etc. So anyway, all of them are modifications of earth. Still, pratyatmavartino visheshat, because each one has its own individual nature. Therefore, paraspara upakaritvam bhavatyeva bhavati. Therefore, the soup serves the purpose of rice. You mix the soup in the rice or dal in the rice and eat, Evam ihapi bhavishyati. So just as the soup and the vegetable serve the purpose of rice, so also it can happen here that even the Atma and Anatma both are conscious in nature, still because of their individual specific nature. So it is not consciousness or unconsciousness, it is a specific nature because of which the upakarya, upakaraka bhava is possible. And says Ratnaprabha, Chetana Chetana Bheda Kathamityaha. Then how do you distinguish Chetana and Achetana? Because people do not see everything as conscious. People see something as unconscious and other thing as conscious, sentient and insentient. That is what that vibhaga or the division is very clear to people. So how do people recognize this sentient and insentient if all of them are conscious? So says here, pravibhaga prasiddhi api atah eva na virochsyate iti. Pravibhaga prasiddhi. Even prasiddhi, the common acceptance of the division of sentient and insentient also is because of the difference in particular nature. Everything has its own peculiar nature. So when certain things possess a given nature, people call it insentient. When certain things possess a different nature, people call it sentient. So the division of sentient and insentient is not because of the presence or absence of consciousness, it is because of only difference in individual nature. So, ataheva means what? Chaitanya vivakti anuvakti bhyam ityartha. So something manifests consciousness, something does not manifest consciousness. That's the difference in the nature. It is the nature of certain things to manifest consciousness. It is nature of other things not to manifest consciousness. So mind is that which manifests consciousness, and where the mind connection is not there, they do not manifest consciousness. Therefore, these things have difference in nature of manifestation and non-manifestation of consciousness. And that is how the pravibhaga, the division of the sentient and insentient, can be explained. He explains everything from his position. That consciousness, in fact, that would be our position also. Everything is consciousness. And the difference is only in the manifestation. But here that is not accepted, by the way. Here the division of sentient and insentient is accepted, because that's what we find. So the Sankhya said that what you call unconscious entities are unconscious. There is no consciousness here. And what you call conscious entity has consciousness is there. This Ekadeshi says what you call unconscious is where the consciousness is not manifest, and what you call conscious is where the consciousness is manifest. So the difference is in manifestation and non-manifestation of consciousness, and not the presence or absence of consciousness. Therefore, this pravibhaga, this division of sentient and insentient also can be explained this way. So this is Ekadeshi position all the way. Now the Sankhya position. Sarvasya chetanatvam Ekadeshi yuktam angikritya. Sankhya is granted. Granted that what you say is right. That everything is indeed consciousness, and the difference only is in manifestation, non-manifestation. So sarvasya chetanatvam Ekadeshi yuktam. What is said by Ekadeshi, the Pseudo Vedantin, that everything is consciousness. Angikritya, accepting that Sankhya pariharati, accepting that also Sankhya shows parihara or refutation. What refutation? That Brahma is Jagat Karanam. That position is refuted, even accepting that the universe is Chetanam or sentient or conscious. So says Bhashyakara, so tenapi kasanchita chetana acetanatva lakshanam vilakshanatvam parihriyeta. Tenapi, even accepting your position, then you have been able to now show the similarity. So Siddhanti wants to prove similarity. And Sankhya wants to prove dissimilarity. Here, at least Ekadeshi wants to prove similarity, Sankhya wants to prove dissimilarity. So Sankhya is all right, accepting this position that the difference is of the manifestation, non-manifestation of consciousness, and therefore consciousness is equally present everywhere, even accepting that. Still, so this vilakshanatvam, this dissimilarity of conscious and unconscious can be explained by you that that dissimilarity is not there. Okay. Still, शुद्धि अशुद्धित्व लक्षणं तो विलक्षणत्वं नैव परिह्रियते. But we said that the similarities of two nature, one is consciousness and unconsciousness, other is impurity and purity. So as far as impurity is concerned, that dissimilarity is still not resolved by you, and therefore our position that Brahman is not Jagat Karanam still holds. Now says Angikaram Tyaktva Sutra Sheshane Pariharati. Angikaram Tyaktva. Now that everything is Chetanam, that was temporarily, tentatively accepted, that also he does not accept. And the second part of the sutra. So what is it? Tathatvam cha shabdat. That's the second part of sutra. Taking that, he refutes this position also, that everything is Chetanam. Says, Nacha itarad api vilakshanatvam parihartum shakyate iti aha tathatvam cha shabdat iti. Nacha itaradapi. What is itarat? Chetana acetanatva rupam. We say that even that vailakshanyam, that dissimilarity of the nature of the sentient and insentient, or conscious and unconscious also, na parihartum shakyate. Even that also you cannot disprove. You cannot eliminate or disprove the other dissimilarity of the nature of consciousness and unconsciousness. Ityaha. So that is being said by from the second part of the sutra, tathatvam cha shabdadeti. Tathatvam, that even Shruti also says that this universe is unconscious or insentient. Shabda itself says. Tasya abhiprayam darshayadum parakri abhiprayam anuvadati. What the Sutrakara says, or the Purvapakshi says, to explain that this here, the Purvapakshi Sankhya reiterates what the Ekadeshi said, anavagamya. Anavagamyamanam eva he idam loke samastasya vastunah chetanatvam chetana prakritikatva shravanat शब्द शरणतया केवलया उत्प्रेक्ष्येत तच्च शब्देनैव विरुध्यते. So tathatvam cha shabdat, that part is explained. What is it? Idam loke samastasya vastunah chetanatvam. That in this world everything is chetanam or conscious. Chetana prakritikatva shravanat. Because the Shruti says that Brahma is Jagat Karanam, on the strength of that you say that the whole universe also is conscious in nature. Shabda sharanataya kevalaya utpreksheta. This is utpreksha. This is imagination on your part. Simply sticking to the words of Shruti, that Brahma is Jagat Karanam, simply sticking to the words of the Shruti, you claim that the whole Jagat is also sentient or conscious. Anavagamyamanam, even though it is not accepted by experience, even though it is not accepted by anybody that everything is conscious, still you insist upon that or imagine that simply based on this statement of the Upanishad that Brahma is Jagat Karanam. Suppose you can imagine that way. Tacha shabdene viruddhate. Even that conclusion also is contradicted by the Shruti herself. So point is, if according to you, you say that Shruti means to say that the whole universe is conscious, because Shruti says that consciousness, that is Brahman, is Jagat Karanam, material cause of the creation. On the basis of that, you say that Shruti says that the Jagat is Chaitanya or conscious, even though it is not a matter of our experience. But there is another place where Shruti herself says that Jagat is unconscious. So your interpretation of Shruti cannot be right. The idea is that your interpretation of Shruti, that Jagat is Chaitanya, cannot be right, because elsewhere Shruti herself says that Jagat is Achaitanya. What about that? Tacha shabdene viruddhyate. Shruti does not contradict herself. It is your interpretation of the Shruti that is contradicted by Shruti. You understand this? What is it? Bhashyakara says, Yataha shabdadapi tathatvam avagamyate. So Yataha, because shabdadapi, even by the Shruti statement of Shruti also, tathatvam avagamyate. We see it that way. What is tathatvam? So Bhashyakara himself explains. Tathatvam iti Prakriti vilakshanatvam kathayate. So when Sutra says tathatvam shabdat, what is tathatvam? Prakriti vilakshanatvam. That Jagat is vilakshanam, dissimilar to Brahman or material cause, is what Shruti herself says. So vailakshanyam tathatva shabdartha. Tathatva is vailakshanyam. Bhashyakara himself said, Prakriti vilakshanatvam kathayate. Yata shabdat api. What is api? Anubhava samuchyartha api shabda. Not only it is our experience that the universe is insentient, but the Shruti also says that universe is insentient. शब्द एव विज्ञानं च इति कस्यचित् विभागस्य अचेतनतां श्रावयन् चेतनाद् ब्रह्मणः विलक्षणम् अचेतनं जगत् श्रावयते. शब्द एव, in fact, the passage of Shruti herself, Vijnanam cha satyam abhavata. So this is what, that Brahman became all of this. So Brahman became everything, including Vijnanam cha avijnanam, sentient and insentient. So Brahman has become sentient Purusha, insentient Prakriti. That's what Brahman has become. Therefore, iti kasid vibhagasya achetanatam shravat, meaning some part of the universe is achetanam. So vijnanam cha avijnanam cha. The Purusha does not suppose, then also it says Brahman became conscious as well as unconscious, sentient as well as insentient. So Shruti also says at least some part is insentient. Brahman has become sentient and insentient Jagat, meaning thereby that some part of Jagat is insentient. Therefore, kasid vibhagasya achetanatam shrawayan, it is some part of the Jagat is achetanam, avijnanam, chetanad, brahmana, vilakshanam, achetanam Jagat shravayati. that Jagat is Achetanam and the Vilakshanam, dissimilar in nature from Brahman, which is consciousness. Your Shruti herself says that. So says Nyaya Nacha Ayam Shabda Vibhavitatva Avibhavitatva Vishesh Apeksho Bhavishyati. Suppose this Ekadashi says, even this Vijnana Avijnanam also is only on the basis of manifestation and non-manifestation of consciousness. Suppose he says that. He says, no. So, Aupacharikatva Prasangat Mukhya Sambhave Tad Ayogat. So in Mukhya, when primary meaning is applicable, you should not go for a secondary meaning. Primary meaning is that some part of the world is conscious, some part is unconscious. The drashta is conscious, drashtim is unconscious. So that is very clear. You can't say that in drashta the conscious manifest, drishya is not manifest. Then you have to go for lakshana vritti or gauni vritti. So where mukhya is applicable, you should not accept the gauni vritti. Therefore, Shruti herself says that Jagat is unconscious, therefore dissimilar in nature from Brahman. Therefore, Brahman cannot be Jagat Karanam. This is the Sankhya position. Om. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.